because he had interest among our people. He talked about problems of agriculture, and he cited Murewa to be a place to start at Rota. Father Dav said to me, look, you have to go to Rota and recruit farmers there. I'm not a farmer. But you go, Chris, and talk to them. That time security was very tight because Silveira was watched all the time. People were giving information to the authorities of what was happening. What I did, I went and made friends with the Mudomeni Ukarota, the agricultural extension officer. He was there, very good. He arranged with the farmers then that we would have meetings at the township. But he said, look, as you have meetings, talking to them about this, people would be coming to these meetings and I'll raise my hand. If he is a fair person, go ahead talking. If he is somebody, an informer, I'll raise my hand and you know what to do. Right? He sat there. I was busy talking to the farmers. Well, someone would come and he raised his hand. I had a very big rosary with me. Then I took off my rosary. I started saying, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Saying the rosary. And when this man came and said, they're saying prayers, let me go. He left. Those were techniques. That was not true. We were not told by Father, but he told us to go and achieve. So we are saying to the staff that are here, that Father Gibson is recruiting. The idea of Silveira House is to achieve. I was gratified by the testimonies given. Father Dav wanted us to ask questions. He wanted us to raise interest and go to ministries. And it was official. We used to be frightened because they were whites who were leading us. But this, we broke that. Now we have got our own black brothers, black ministers here. There is no need why I can't go and see the minister. He is a brother. And that's what we should do. He would help us. And that's what we want to do. The challenge I see, I think the early promoters here did a lot and achieved something. What I have now, a challenge for Silveira House, is to offer opportunities for your staff to feel that they can achieve these things. They have responsibilities. Recruit them, offer them clear conditions of service. Not as we did ourselves. Not as we did ourselves. Do not persuade them by saying prayers. No, they need, because they are human beings, they have families. They want to educate their children. They have got to live good life. They must live competitively in the areas that they live. And these people have got an opportunity to develop themselves and leave the Silveira House and go and do something else. They have that right to do that. They have a right to be developed by Silveira House. Silveira House has a right to develop them. You can look around, many have left their business, a lot of business people now. We have got secretaries, very efficient secretaries from Silveira House. Motor mechanics, wonderful. I had a breakdown when I went to talk one day. Somebody came and helped me. I said, where were you trained? He said, Silveira House. I smiled. He gave me sufficient service. We have got builders in town. You go into the townships, you find a lot of builders who were trained here. Blacksmiths, a lot of them. This is what we want. Now, the challenge we have, we were able to do that because there was a white government. This is a black community. What kind of leaders do we have at local level and at national level? What kind of leaders do we have? We have to challenge and tell them, because we vote for them. We vote for them and we must ask for quality service. And among ourselves, we must be upright ourselves if we are promoters. Let us show that Silveira House is an institution that upholds integrity. We want that. There is a lot of corruption in our society today. A lot of it. What are we doing about it? In your education and promotion, let's tell people to challenge that, not to fear. And I would like to thank, the MC said, the director can speak the whole day. If you don't stop him, we have problems. That is an answer why he is now director at ZBC and what he do. Because he can talk a lot. So Father can go and talk a lot at the ZBC, we are pleased. And it's good to have our own Catholic priest, a Christian, involved in community work. We'd like to wish you, Father, and your staff to be involved in what you are having. Thank you very much.
Join me in welcoming Dr. Edward Guerra.
I know the Master of Ceremony said I should simply pronounce that all protocols observed. But I'm sure that as a former politician, he will have exceptions. So please allow me to recognize Father Chimanda, and Father Nkonori, Father Johnson, and Father Muro, the director of Silveira House, Mr. Maya, the deputy ambassador of the German embassy, Baba, Chief Shinamura, our guest of honor, Mr. Dibla, members of parliament who may be here, district administrators and their staff, senior civil servants, ladies and gentlemen. First, I would like to thank you particularly Reverend Munyoro, Father Munyoro, for inviting me to this very important milestone, your Golden Jubilee. The life of Silveira House has been at the center of the transformation that has occurred in our country, and certainly we should celebrate. I was tempted to stand up and dance, but I wasn't too sure, since I'm not a Catholic, whether it was appropriate. But I just want to say that I was very privileged to participate in the very beginning years of Silveira House. I was a youth worker. I had just returned from an 18-month course in the UK and had been trained as a youth worker. So around 1966, 67, thereabouts, I began a relationship with the Silveira House. And I used to bring groups of young people from Harare, now Mbare, and from Highfields to come here for various courses. Courses that empowered young people, but mostly courses that help to develop young leaders by developing their communication skills and empowering them in various skills so that they could help themselves. At the beginning we thought, well, it was just a fun place to be, because we also had sports and with good food here coming from Mbare. But it was evident with the fullness of time that there was bridge building that was taking place here, there was communication that was taking place here. And in that process, I got to meet and to know Father Duff and his staff here. As my brother Edmund Kabasa said, Father Duff would challenge you to think. He would challenge you to analyze your environment and empower you to deal with your circumstances. Through the various courses that were undertaken here, there was a certain transformation that occurred to us young people who were beneficiaries of these courses. An awareness of who we were. He used to say to us, you know, change will come, and you are going to be the future leaders of this country. And you know, coming from the townships and hearing a Catholic priest who is sitting comfortably at Silveira House talk about that, with an expression, you could suffer continuous all your life in the townships, as long as you survive. And so, when Father Duff said, the potential leaders of this country are actually in this room, you're actually there, we had our doubts. Because the edifice was huge. He was able to see injustice where we didn't see. The society was polarized at the time. There was state oppression and inequality and racism. But above all, what was more important to us was really just survival. Many of the young people that came here were unemployed. And some of them were living in very desperate situations. But Father Duff was able to see, first things first. Change will come. But let's empower these young people to be the change engine, change agents for the future. I regret very much that I was not at his funeral, but it was a loss to the country. But I'm pleased that the Catholic Church continues to keep his memory alive, especially his work. So we hope that, I certainly hope that Silveira House will continue to grow and expand, and we can look forward to another 50 years. Father Duff was able to create for us, young people, at that time, an environment which transformed us through the exposure. He gave us hope when it seemed so hopeless for many of us. But of course, he was absolutely right. Change eventually came, and I am testimony to the potential that I did not see, but Father Duff and Silveira House were able to see. I eventually was able to go to the United States and study there. Went and worked with the United Nations in Ethiopia and was involved with our liberation struggle. And at independence, I was one of the first 4 permanent secretaries appointed by the new government in 1980. It was part of this transition when I went into the Ministry of Manpower Planning. It was a white establishment, and I was a black permanent secretary with just a few blacks. And I had to be part of this transition. And I can tell you that the training I got here in communication and reconciliation was very useful in providing for that transition. So Silveira House, Silveira House, you know, was really an intrinsic player in the transition from Rhodesia to Zimbabwe. Many of the young leaders, and I can tell you about the young people that I brought from the YMCA, they are now executives in private companies, they are now leaders in government, and they were part of this change. And they are now leaders in their own respective jobs. I would like to say thank you, Silveira House. Today we want to celebrate you. We hope you can also look into the future. But I have no doubt in my mind that Silveira House will remain relevant in empowering young people, in empowering the disadvantaged, in empowering women, and to continue to contribute to building leaders. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know how much Edmund Kabas and his team have used their director for that out in their time. Things are different these days. Anyway, I stand here again to recognize the presence and invite Honorable Minister Walter Shidakwa. I have a very interesting relationship with Honorable Shidakwa, so I have to share a little bit. I hope I have 3 minutes. Apart from being the Minister of Mining Development, he wears several hats. One of them is that when every Sunday he is a Catholic, a very good Catholic, I think I should add, and he belongs to a very good parish, Catholic parish, with a very good parish priest. So he is one of my there are some people who are jealous when I begin to talk about it. So they always find a cause to disturb me. But I'm currently the parish priest of the Shawasha mission. But Silveira House falls under the Shawasha parish mission. So we call it Silveira House sub-parish. So Honorable Shidakwa come to Silveira House sub-parish. So he doesn't go for confession, but only comes to me. So we are really very happy that you are here with us. Thank you very much for all the support you have always been giving us. As a very close friend to us, praying with us every Sunday and every time we meet to pray here at Silveira House. It's not a very big praying community, it's a small one, but he's part of that, he and his family are part of that. Today I have to humble myself now because he has come wearing a very different hat which I have never interacted with. He has been asked to deliver a message by someone who wanted to be here very much. The head of state, His Excellency President Mugabe, wanted to be part of this celebration with us. But he had so many commitments and he sent a message last week that is it possible for us to change the date? So I said, Dr. Mugabe is already cancelled this. So I said, Dr. Mugabe is already cancelled this schedule, so let's leave it to continue. So we couldn't change it to October, which he had wished because he wanted to be with us. But he said, even if I'm not around, I want to send a message to Silveira House. And so he sent one of his ministers to come and deliver that message to us. And that minister is none other than Honorable Minister Chitapa. Please join me in inviting him.
Thank you. The guest of honor, Mr. Michael Hippler, Father Chieza Chimanda, Provincial Superior of the Jesuits in Zimbabwe, Father Nigel Johnson, Chairperson of Silveira House Board of Directors, Father Gibson Munyoro, Director of Silveira House, Baba Chief Chinamora, and I notice dignitaries here who I don't see, but I will proceed with those that are here. His Excellency, the German Deputy Ambassador, Mr. Frank Meyer, Mr. Hildegard Hoven, representing the German Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development, Mr. Brent Kobe, United States Embassy Political and Economic Officer representing Ambassador Bruce Watton, Mr. Andrew Borden, representing the British Embassy, representatives of various ministries here present, directors and other leaders of funding partners of Silveira House, directors and other leaders of civil society organizations, beneficiaries and friends of Silveira House. I feel humbled to be here today, and humbled because I became adopted to this parish some years ago. My first parish is Kutama. I was born, bred up at Kutama. Interacted extensively with the Jesuits, Marist brothers, got the disciplinary side of the Jesuits. And I dare say, when we meet to talk about it, you cannot miss the product of the Jesuits, there is no doubt. But I want to just say to you that His Excellency the President, who also is a product of the Jesuits, did want to come really. And we had many discussions about how to coordinate the program, because he thought at some point that because Kutama is the academic side of Kutama will be celebrating its centenary. It's this year. And it has now been decided that the celebrations will be on the 11th of October. And so there was a desire to try and see if it was possible to do it around that time. And of course, the many programs, United Nations, next week, and so on and so forth. Today, I just left him at the university. There is graduation at the University of Zimbabwe. We had just 2 minutes to talk. But he said to me, go and represent me well. And I don't know what that means. I actually don't know. I don't know how to represent President Mugabe well, because, I mean, he sets a stage so high that it makes it very difficult for you. But what I will simply do is to read his speech, and if allowed, I will also say a few of my own words. This is a congratulatory message by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Robert Gabriel Mugabe, to Silveira House on the occasion of its Golden Jubilee celebrations. I write this message to express my sincere and profound gratitude to Father Munyoro and the entire leadership for extending an invitation to me to participate in celebrations marking the Golden Jubilee of Silveira House Training Center. However, due to urgent business, I am unable to be with you and reminisce with you on this important day in the history of our country. I do hope, however, that this letter will communicate to you my appreciation and admiration of the role that the institution has played in the enlightenment and advancement of our people since its formation in December 1964. The rise of nationalism in the early 1960s, following the successful defeat of colonialism in a number of African countries, coupled with growing discontent as standards of living of blacks continued to deteriorate, resulted in violent conflict amongst black communities and the settlers. In its quest for peace, the Rhodesian Catholic Bishops' Conference appointed a fact-finding mission committee to investigate the origins and causes for the sudden upsurge in violent activities. Its findings, which were to be published in 1963, revealed the strong feelings by nationalists who argued that black communities had become aware of the fact that they were colonized and had now started to look for ways of liberating themselves. Young people therefore resorted to violence in order to force their employers to pay them better wages. The Catholic Bishops' Conference then resolved to set up a training center whose initial programs included labor relations, civic education, which hitherto had benefited the white communities only. Programs also included modern methods of agriculture. The Catholic Bishops' Conference approached the Jesuits, who offered their novitiate and relocated to Mazowe to pave way for the establishment of Silveira House. The Jesuits also appointed the late Father John Dove, who at the time was the secretary to the Archbishop Francis Markle. When I said Markle, I was corrected. He said his own pronunciation. To spearhead its establishment. Early groups to attend training programs at Silveira House came largely from the townships, particularly Mbare, then Harare. They received civic education and leadership courses. As the war gained momentum, Silveira House acted as one of the many recruitment centers for comrades who would in the 1970s become the mainstay of our liberation struggle. Worth noting is the role played by one Joseph Chakaipa, the first son of Sekuru Patrick Chakaipa's elder brother, who for some time organized groups of young men and women to join the liberation struggle. When the settler police got information about his activities, he was advised to leave the country as the police would come and arrest him the following day. So indeed, he left and joined others in the liberation effort. It is also important to note that the 1971 PS Commission's no vote was orchestrated from Silveira House by people such as comrades Maurice Nyabumbo and Edson Stone. During the 60s and 70s, Silveira House was a safe haven for nationalists to discuss the liberation war effort. Under the leadership of Father John Dove, David Harold Barry, and others, some of the key names which became synonymous with the activities of Silveira House were Thomas Zawaira, Augustine Mchikambizi, Christopher Kabasa, Sabina Mugabe, Evangelista Chakaipa, Agnes Mapfumo, Bridget Mugabe, Herbert Murerwa, among many others. Post-independent Silveira House continued to provide training to many Zimbabweans, making immense contribution to the policy of reconciliation, rehabilitation, and reconstruction, which I had enunciated in my inaugural speech as the first Prime Minister of a free and independent Zimbabwe. So, this is what leaders of Silveira House did over the last 50 years of their existence. The question which you, as the new leaders of Silveira House, and indeed those of other institutions similar to yours, is, what will people say about your leadership 50 years from today when the institution turns 100 years of age? On my part, allow me to say, I look forward to a bigger, developed, and diversified Silveira House, playing an even greater role in developing practical skills to our young people. I look forward to a Silveira House which works closely with government in the skills development effort right across the country. Allow me in conclusion to wish everyone associated with the institution happy and joyous celebrations. God bless you all. Thank you. Robert Gabriel Mugabe, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, sealed and signed. Following the short discussions that we had here when the President came to bid farewell to Father Dove, and he expressed the desire for Silveira House to participate even more with government in respect of the expansion of the practical skills development side of the education of our children. We have had occasion to sit with him and talk to him about this and other activities, obviously, in relation to Butama and so on and so forth. And clearly, you see a desire in him to have Silveira House work with government to expand the, he calls it psychomotor, and he says that there are not as many institutions offering practical skills as we do those that offer academic skills. And therefore, what we have as a country is a skewed relationship between being academically astute, intellectually astute, and yet unable to do practical things. And I will give you my practical example of a meeting that I had with the chairman of a company called Temasek. Temasek is the largest company in Singapore. It owns the airlines, the Singapore Airways, it owns the airport, the Changi airport. It owns the greater part of CBD Singapore. And we sat there, and I was a young man, and we went through a discussion trying to entice them to come to Zimbabwe to invest in Zimbabwe. And after some time, he said to me, you know, I'm very impressed with your ability to express yourself. And you're very clear about what you want to do. But tell me, what can you make? At first, I actually didn't know what he meant. I had not figured out what he meant. And he said, no, I mean, can you make this chair? Can you make this table? Then, of course, he told me the story of his visit to Zimbabwe. And he said to me, he had met many young people, brilliant young people, intellectually astute. And yet, the level of skills development was so low compared to what they have in their own country. And he said to me, if as a country you want to develop, if as a country you want to progress to greater heights, you must teach your people how to make things. You must enable them to have frameworks within which to think about how to make things and actually make those things. And therefore, the role played by Silveira House in teaching people how to make things, how to put up buildings, how to make tables and chairs, how to weld boats, that, I think, is where we lack the most. And I think that this is where His Excellency is coming from when he says, I would wish to have Silveira House activities replicated in every district across the country, having institutions that are able in every district. And I think he fell short of saying, working with Minister Nema on the development of skills. And I'm aware you work here with Minister Nyoni on the small to medium scale enterprises. And so I think that the role of Silveira House is a major role into the future. But I'm happy that the foundation laid by its founding fathers is a solid foundation. I think it is able to take it into the future in a major way. What the leaders of Silveira House did here was a great thing, but it needs to be developed, cultivated, nurtured, made bigger, and made more people-oriented. And I think we need to move in that direction. And I'm happy, Masabu.